Hello, I am Paula Bennett and welcome to my New Zealand Herald podcast, Ask Me Anything. Now, one thing I've learnt in life is it's never too late to learn something new. So on this podcast, I talk to people from all walks of life to hear how they got to where they are, get some advice and guidance on some of life's biggest questions. My guest today has been on our entertainment scene for a long, long time, but is still so young. But it's because she started her first acting job at just 12 years old. She's been on many local telly shows about as a true Westie. You can imagine the Outrageous Fortune and West Side stand out as favourites for me. I was even lucky enough to meet her and work with her on Give Us a Clue. Her new show, Double Parked, Season 2, is out now on 3 and 3 now. Antonia Prebble, welcome in.
Thank you. Lovely to see you again after that crazy charades show.
It was crazy, wasn't it?
It was. But I thought you did such a great job because you had to do like 10 a day or something.
Yeah.
And I obviously only did one. And after that, I was exhausted and it was so hot. And you just had to sort of keep up that level of energy for like 12 hours.
It was quite funny because people, you know, we had wonderful people like you and some of them would just sort of come in and go, oh, yeah, it's just sort of what I'm doing. And then get so competitive so quickly.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you do. You get sort of, filled with the desire to win and triumph, which is wonderful. I mean, I definitely was that.
No, I enjoyed it. Okay, easy, quick fire questions. If you could go to the pub or for a drink with any celebrity, who would it be?
Probably Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Do you know her? She's the creator of Fleabag.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so she's
Fleabag.
a writer and actress and Killing Eve. She was the creator of that. And she's just like, so I totally have a crush on her. Like she's just so talented and smart and funny and brilliant. And I feel like we'd be friends, you know?
Yeah.
Like I feel like if we just had the chance to hang out, we'd be friends. So.
What would your drink be?
Oh,
What's your drink of choice?
Negroni.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do love a Negroni.
Yeah, nice. And a favourite bar, pub, restaurant, anywhere in the world?
Where would I like to go? Oh, I want to go to like the Heston Blumenthal's, is it the Fat Duck in England? That sounds amazing. I think you can like lick the walls or something. Like it's, you know, a full multi-sensory experience. I think that would be amazing. Yeah.
Mind you, we were, just before you came in here in the studio, we were talking about feeding children.
Okay.
That changes your dietary quite a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. Although they probably would quite like to lick the walls.
They would. That's exactly what made me think of it, actually. I was like, oh, that sounds great.
Great for kids.
Yeah, they would. They would. Okay, we're going to chat about the second season of Double Parked shortly. But first, let's talk a bit more about you. Because as we've already, I mean, I've literally got photos of me with you because I was just so excited. Because my whole family are kind of bonkers on Outrageous Fortune.
You're true Westies, so that was your stuff that we were putting up.
I know, and I would like walk into a bar in Wellington or something, and they would play Gutter Black for me. You know, like they kind of almost saw me as
you're part of the Wests. You're another member of our family.
You know, the extension and all of it. But I mean, it must have been intense. And you did. I mean, how many seasons was Outrageous?
6.
Yeah, and then 6 with West Side.
Yeah,
so that's a big chunk of your acting career, isn't it?
It was huge. Yeah, I started when I was 20 on Outrageous and I finished on West Side when I was 35.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they made you look so much younger, you know, like at 20. Because you could look back at it. Because I watched it with my stepdaughter, watched West Side, and of course she hadn't seen Outrageous.
Yes.
And so then we went back and watched Outrageous again. And so I just saw you so young and with no makeup.
I know. Yeah, I used to have 15-minute makeup calls for the first few seasons before Loretta kind of had her glow up.
Yeah.
I had 15 minutes. It was amazing. You know, like tiny bit of foundation on my face, and that was it.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
It was great.
And could you embrace your character? I mean, it's quite you know, I interviewed Robin Malcolm and spent some time with her as well, and we both did this women's event for the day, and she was just saying that what she also loved about the show was that it was body positive. They wanted you to be real.
Yeah.
And who you were, and there wasn't any of those kind of external pressures that we unfortunately still see today for some of our actors and what the expectations are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it was it was body positive in what I believe is the best way to be body positive, in that bodies were not talked about.
Yeah.
It just was not it was not up for discussion. No one ever talked about it. It wasn't like you had a wardrobe fitting and it wasn't even like we're a body positive show. It just was not part of it. You know, it was neutral, which I think is the best way to be body positive is to not talk about bodies. You know, like how do you help your daughter feel positive in her body? Don't talk about her body.
Yeah.
You know, it should be something that we just ultimately don't discuss, and that was the case.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So you were a child actor. Do you call yourself a child actor?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Because you were.
I was a child when I started.
And like I read about that first job at 12, and that it was friends. Wasn't it family friends that they knew someone that got you into it?
Yes.
Was that right?
Yeah, it's such a classic New Zealand story. Yeah, so my best friend at primary school, their neighbour was an acting agent. So my best friend's mum asked me if I would like to get signed up, and I was like, yes, absolutely. Had no idea what that meant or what that would entail, but I definitely wanted to do it. So I was 11. And I asked my parents, they're like, well, sure, you can get an agent, but this particular agent, but you have to do it yourself. You have to organise it. So I was like, no problem. So rang up this agent, said, can you represent me? And they were like, oh, well, this is weird, having a kid ring up. So yeah, she took me on, and then I started auditioning for a couple of things, and then I got my first TV show the following year when I was 12.
So you knew, like you sort of say that it was just kind of, it was in your DNA, but it's not in your family's DNA.
No, it's not.
A lot of actors come from acting.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. And so that's part of, the template of their life. Yeah, but no, most of my families are lawyers or academics, so it was not part of that at all. But yeah, from my earliest memories, like literally 3 or 4, I just knew it was what I wanted to do, and I would seek out every opportunity that I could to perform, and every time I did, it just felt like something kind of ignited in me, and I was like, this is what I want to do. Yeah.
My nephew's like that.
Really?
Yeah, he's 10.
Yeah.
And no one else has kind of got the genes, and he's just like, we knew from 3 years old.
Wow.
And he performs on stage, and he's been in Shortland Street.
Oh,
and
cool.
He plays heaps of sport, does, he's got a really nice well-round, and he'll end up doing whatever he wants. But we just look at him and just go, wow, there's something in that.
Something in that. Yeah, I know. It's quite unusual, but true.
Yeah. And then following that path, I suppose because you had such a certainty that it was what you wanted to do, those sorts of opportunities, did you just kind of grab them and run with it? Because it's kind of hard to map out in New Zealand what your career is going to be like, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it sure is. And, particularly for, a girl growing up in Wellington whose family was absolutely not part of any arts scene. Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I would just as soon as I could read, I'd read the newspaper to see if there were general auditions for local repertory plays and things like that. And so then I'd go along and audition, and I got cast in a few. And then when I got this agent when I was 11, I started acting in professional TV shows from when I was 12. And I was quite busy throughout my teens. And then towards the end of my teens, it all sort of stopped because suddenly I was in a different category as a young adult, and it was a lot more competitive. And I remember feeling so devastated. I was like, I've just been a child actor and my career's over. And it was, sounds dramatic, but it was very real worry at the time that I wouldn't be able to do this thing again that I loved so much. But then the big sort of next step was getting Outrageous Fortune, and that really catapulted my career in lots of ways. And I feel from then things have been definitely up and down, but from that point I've been able to really forge a path.
So when did you study? Because you've done, you did study law for a little while.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, gave it a go. Yeah.
And then you've studied acting. Numerous times. Well, not numerous, but you've studied.
Yeah, I try to still study as much as I can. So so after I finished school, I did go to university, and I did a year of law, and then it's like, oh no, it's just not for me. So I switched the credits to an arts degree, and eventually at age 30, I graduated with an arts degree. It took me a long time. But so I didn't go to drama school, and because I guess I went to university in that time where I could have gone to drama school, and then I got cast in Outrageous Fortune, and so then it sort of didn't feel quite right to go back and do a 3-year degree. But I really believe in continual growth and learning and development and in life, in anything, but particularly if the thing that means a lot to you and that you're passionate about, because you can always get better at it. Yeah. So I still do lots of courses. I'm doing one this weekend, for example, a weekend course with a teacher from Australia who's coming over. Yeah, and I love it. I mean, the wonderful thing about...
And do you learn something? Sorry. Because you are just phenomenal.
Oh, that's so
do you genuinely learn something?
Oh, yeah. I am so painfully aware of like my limitations as an actor and where I want to be. I mean, I know it's just so inspiring seeing a beautiful performance in a play or a film, and you go, wow, that's possible, and I'm not there yet. So it's really clear how much better, deeper, more truthful, whatever, all those words that I could be. So yeah, absolutely, training's a big part of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to say it surprises me, but I just think that you evolve your characters, and I believe them so much, and you portray them in a way that I do feel like I'd go and have a drink with Rita.
Oh. Good luck to you. Yeah, actually, no, you'd hold your own.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, you would be all right.
You'd hold your own.
Yeah. Okay, so then you love to learn and do new things. So one of the random ones, which is you and Madeline in Paris at clown school, which I did know that you had been, because when you turned up to give us a clue, it was like there's a bit of experienced miming going on here.
That was announced, wasn't it? I think it was Tom Sainsbury that revealed that to the nation that I've been to clown school. So Madeline and I, which is obviously because now we're co-stars in Double Parked, but we became friends. She came and did a guest role on Outrageous Fortune, and we hit it off. And then she said that she was going to Paris to do this, to study with Philippe Gaulier. And I did French at high school and university, and I always wanted to be able to have an excuse, really, to go to France and speak the language. And so even though we were only like new friends, I was like, can I come with you? Because it worked with a break in Outrageous filming. So, and she was like, yeah, okay. So anyway, I signed up without really knowing much about what this teacher was like. And yeah, he's very intense. He has a very intense...
That's right. You said that. Really intense.
Yeah, really intense. Yeah. You get up and so he gets you to do an exercise, which is often quite cryptic, and he holds this drum, and you get up and start performing this exercise in front of the class, and he will bang the drum when he's had enough of it, like when it's bad. And honestly, sometimes you just stand up and he bangs the drum. Because and so I found it pretty tough. It's all kind of in this, like the first month is called Le Jeu, the game. So it is all kind of in this playful way, but I'm like really sensitive, and so I found it quite hard to like just get on board with the kind of joyful constructive criticism that we would get all the time.
I stood up and I'm crap.
I stood up and I'm crap. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. But it got me to Paris.
Hey, what a story, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. So on the note of meeting people on set that you get on well with, a nice segue there.
That's great.
For me, talking about your now husband, 6 months, Dan?
6 months in, Dan.
So I want to know which did you meet on West Side, or did you meet, you met Outrageous Fortune? When did you start having eyes for each other?
Yeah, so we met, funnily enough, back in like 2003 in a theatre lecture at Victoria University, because we were both studying. I can't remember that, but he can. He remembers that we were sitting next to each other and had a nice chat. I really can't remember that. And then he moved to Auckland maybe like 2008, and I was already up here doing Outrageous Fortune. And because we're, similar age and both in the arts, we knew of each other and were kind of part of the same wider circle of friends, but never really had much of a connection or independent friendship, apart from just being in this wider circle of friends. And then it was so strange. It must have been, I think it was like season 4, is that right? Season 4 of... No, it must have been season 3 of West Side, and we'd already done 3 seasons of it.
Yeah.
In the same kind of not really connecting with each other in any kind of particular way. And it was so strange. It's never happened to me before. I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but it was like, the best way I can describe it is like something just like opened up in the universe that was not there before, and we were both like, oh, hey. And it just like changed. It was really bizarre.
Okay, so was it weird then, being at work and you're now dating, and you're both hooked up with someone else in your day job?
Yes. Who we work with.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So mind you, you're an actor. You're actors,
and it's such a cliche, right, that you hook up with your co-star. Like, it happens so often. But funnily enough, with West Side, we actually have hardly any scenes together. Like our Lefty and Rita don't have much to do with each other and don't really like each other all that much. So So it was kind of lovely actually because we got to hang out a lot.
I mean, quite different, as you say, for actors that when they're genuinely playing a couple and you can see that level of intimacy, and then it might just sort of, creep over and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case because, as you say, you both were completely different. You were doing completely different scenes.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we didn't actually get to hang out much at work. Yeah.
But you kind of, even though you'd known each other a long time, you more or less had that instant moment.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it's weird. And simultaneously as well.
Oh, that's so neat.
I know, it is. And it is because it is such a cliche to get together with someone you're working with. Like, it often happens because you're working in this intense environment.
Yeah.
And particularly if you are actually acting opposite them, which we weren't, you're like purposefully creating these feelings of connection and intimacy. But this was kind of separate to that and obviously lasted.
Yeah. So you got married about 6 months ago.
We did,
And I think just the obvious is that dress you were wearing. Oh my goodness.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, just absolutely adorable and beautiful.
Thank you.
Just was it a bit shorter?
So I had two dresses. So for my ceremony dress, I had a long, wedding dress, long lace sleeves and a big full skirt. And then for the reception, I changed into a little mini, which was super fun.
Cute. And we've got Freddie and Gus.
Yeah, Freddie and Gus.
Yeah. And Freddie's 5.
He's just turned 5. We turned 5 in July. Yeah.
Wow, school.
Yep, we actually went for our first school visit yesterday where he's going to go in term 4. So, we went yesterday for the first time. And
so the mums will recognise you, won't they?
I guess so. I mean, in New Zealand, people, I find, you might have a different experience because of your politician role, or people might have a different, sense of what they can say to you. But I find, particularly in Auckland, people can't sometimes say something, but not often they don't. Like, I'll sometimes get a bit of side eye, but they usually, for example, yesterday when we went on the school visit, no one said anything.
I agree.
So
people, they're sort of engrossed in their own lives, and we're not really that interesting.
Not that interested. We're not that interesting, and I think it's quite common, in Auckland. To see people off the telly. To see.
I used to say to people, you're right, it is a little bit different outside of Auckland, but I used to say to people, no, if I really just want to be with my friends and have that moment, go to a bar in Ponsonby, because they all think they're far more important than you. Yeah. And so they should, right?
And so they should, absolutely.
Yeah, and so they just
it's nothing special.
But then there's nothing like our out of Aucklanders who just embrace you and,
I find it gets more intense the more south you go.
Yeah.
Like Dunedin, it's like, well, that's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine that. So, having children, I mean, how are you doing the juggle? Because, there's work and Dan works and you're both a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot. And unfortunately, acting in TV shows, the hours just are really long, particularly if you're in a lead role, which is not conducive to family life and also not conducive to being the kind of mother that I want to be, that's really important to me, which is one that's there, all the time. I want to be there all the time, and also I want to work. So it is difficult and it's a juggle, but I actually have found decision making a lot easier since having them, because my values are so clear and they just are my priority. So I try to be quite careful with how many TV shows I do, because really that's the only thing that takes all of the time. All the other kind of bits of work I do, I can sort of fit around their kindy, or I can do even at night when they're asleep. But yes, and luckily so far, when I have done a lead role on Double Parked or a couple of other things that I've done since they've been born, then Dan has been able to kind of down tools, so he only works about 4 hours a day. So he's their primary caregiver, and then we have a wonderful nanny who looks after them for 4 hours a day, or they're at kindy. He's their main guy while I'm working, and they come and visit me on set every day.
Yeah.
So,
and it's healthy.
Yeah, I think it's worked for us so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
healthy for them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Might mess your head up occasionally, but it's good for them.
It's good for them, and it's what I want to do because I know it is good for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots of things about this business that, the uncertainty of it and the freelance nature of it, which is challenging but also beneficial to family. We can never really plan, because we never know. At the moment, I'm waiting to hear if I'm going to be cast in this show in Australia. And if I am, then we're going to go like in 2 weeks. But if I'm not, then we'll stay.
Yeah.
So it's strange. But the positive impact of that is that there is more flexibility. So Dan can decide not to take on something if I've got something on, and we can
and he
share.
understands your life. You
Yes.
understand each other's lives.
Yeah.
And so in that context, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, and we can all pack up and go together. Like, we all went to Melbourne a few years, 2 years ago, for me to do a show, and he was able to just write from there. So that's great. I think it'll be really hard if...
We're going to talk about Double Parked in the second half a little bit more and not getting typecast. But in Double Parked, we've got babies.
We do.
Did it make you more or less inclined to have another child? Did it, like just being around those little, because the smell, eh?
The smell of
you
the
forget
newborn.
You forget the smell so quickly.
I know.
That's not fair, eh?
Yeah, I know.
And then you end up, I'm okay because I'm a grandmother, so it's actually all right for me to
Have you got
sniff
babies?
Yeah.
Babies,
No, they're all a bit older.
A bit
now.
older, okay.
But I sniff other people's babies, and I just say to them, it's perfectly okay because I'm a grandmother.
Yeah.
Like, it's not creepy.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah,
No.
you're allowed to sniff a baby.
Yeah.
Surely it's just an accepted.
And how was it then working with baby?
It was great. They were so cute. I mean, to be honest, I was a little bit like, oh God, how's this going to go? Because I've worked with I always get cast as pregnant people who have babies. So I've worked with heaps of babies over my career, and it's usually pretty challenging for obvious reasons because they're babies and often are upset because they have a sore tummy or just don't feel like doing it or are tired, all of the things. And they can only be on set, again, for good reason, for a very short amount of time because baby labour laws are quite strict, as they should be.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was a little bit nervous about it. Like, oh God, it just makes things a lot harder. But these babies, they were great. So we had 2 newborns and then 2 that were about 4 months old because the season tracks about the first 4 months of their life. And one was even cast in utero.
Yeah. Wow.
But they were pretty chilled, like just which is just such a crapshoot, isn't it, about how a baby...
But that little, they'll sleep anywhere. Let's be honest, when they're tired, they go...
You never know, though.
Yeah,
like,
true.
I mean, mine cried a lot. But they sort of just did. I think we just got really lucky. But yeah, did it make me want to have babies more or less? I don't know. I think we feel pretty good with 2. We feel like, again, for the lives that we want to have and the careers that we want to have, 2 feels like a good number.
That's a carful.
It's a car full. Yeah, that's right. You can keep your car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't have to buy a 7-seater.
No. Okay, we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we will be chatting about not getting typecast, diversifying, and always learning. I am back with Antonia Prebble, advice time, and I want to chat to you about not getting typecast and the importance of always learning. And we've already sort of touched on it really, but you talked about going and doing a weekend course this weekend. I mean, is it just that striving to be better, that listening to the experts? I mean, what drives that?
Yeah, I want to be as best as I can be at the thing I love. And with acting, the wonderful thing about it is there's no limit to how good you can be. And hopefully the older you get, just the better you can get. It's tricky in comparison to, say, being an athlete. You really peak at a certain age level, and then as your physical self declines, your career unfortunately declines and you have to start a new chapter. But for acting, there really shouldn't be any end to it until you start losing your faculties when you're really, really old. But really otherwise, you're just, it's understanding yourself, it's understanding the world around you, it's gaining more experience and more tools. So you should just ideally get better and better and better, and that's what I want to do. I'm so aware of how much better I could be. So.
Well, we look at some of those, women that we could name, like Dame Judi Dench and like Meryl Streep, and you just look at them
and what they can do,
and what they can do, and in some respects, almost getting better. Well, I don't know if that's fair to say because there's been so many amazing roles in their careers, but you can certainly see that maturity. There was though that kind of almost a shelf life, for because you've turned 40 recently.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
Love a milestone.
Yeah, love a milestone.
Love a milestone. Just grab it. Because the alternative of not reaching one is worse. So I always think celebrate it.
Absolutely.
I love that you went out and said you were 42.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know.
We don't do it sometimes.
I know. Sometimes, people are still a bit funny, aren't they, about revealing what their age are, particularly women, maybe.
Yeah.
Because you can understand why, because it has been a very ageist industry and world, and probably still is to a certain extent.
Yeah, it is. And so in that context, It has. Do you think it is changing? I mean, you can see some great roles. I mean, Robin talked about almost having to write her own, for After the Party, because you just sort of, could see what was sort of happening there.
Yes. Yeah, I think unfortunately it is still really prevalent. After the Party only came out last year, so the fact that Robin was saying she had to write her own role means that, yes, still even now, it is really difficult. I definitely notice a huge reduction in the number of auditions that I get in comparison to when I was in my 20s, because if you just think about most TV shows, most movies that you watch, they're generally about people in their 20s or 30s.
Well, he can be 50.
He can be 50. He can be 20 years older than his wife. Yeah, I mean, it's still going on. I think it is changing, absolutely, and it is less acceptable for a man to be 20 years older than his wife, but it's absolutely still happening. So we just have to keep campaigning for it and making our own shows, and because why is a woman in her 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s any less interesting? I mean, they'd be more interesting. They've got a lot more to tell. Yeah.
And I think our viewing, and we are an ageing population as well. So, one of the, it's not devastating, that's such a dramatic expression I was going to use. But, I've ticked from the 25 to 54 age group. I now have to tick the other box.
I know
and
exactly
I don't count.
What you mean.
I don't count.
Yeah.
Because, we're not the biggest consumers, and they're not interested in our ratings, and they're not interested in and it's just like, I'm spending more money now than I ever have.
Yeah, I am in society more than I ever have.
I am in. It's funny though, there is that kind of tipping of aging.
Yeah, there is. I so know what you mean. Just turning 40, I recently checked the new box. I think it was 30 to 39. I was like, oh no, I'm in a new category now. Yeah. That's a lot.
Someone has categorised me into
out of the mainstream.
Yeah, I'm in this chunk now. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Double Park. So you and Madeline have been friends.
Yes.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the opportunity came up, and it is about a lesbian couple, but isn't it great that, it's mainstream. It is, that's not the premise of the show.
Absolutely. I totally agree, and I think that's why this show, in its own way, is sort of quietly revolutionary, because it was made specifically to have broad appeal, to be entertaining on a main broadcast network, and the central couple is queer. But the fact that they are lesbians is not what the show is about, and their sexuality is never in question. We have had, lead characters who are queer on TV before and in movies, but a lot of the time their sexuality is the thing that's being questioned. Are they actually queer? Are they going to have an affair with a straight person? But whereas with this, their sexuality is a given, and it's also not what the show is about. It's about a relationship and how two people navigate motherhood.
Society really has changed.
Yeah, I think it has. I still think there's a way to go, though. But we're moving in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. I wonder, I worry less about now the sexuality, if you like, and more the gender diversity.
Absolutely.
And how people navigate their way through that, and we all get our heads around it into a respectful way that treats everyone as they should be treated.
Yes, absolutely.
But I was on a plane last night, and, and I sort of had these, guys my age, really, so I shouldn't say older guys, but, guys my age, and one of them went, hey, is this you? And had my podcast. And I said, yeah, it is. So I said, oh, what are you going to listen? He goes, download now before we take out. And I said, what are you going to listen to? He goes, I'm going to listen to Ryan Bridge. I said, cool, listen to Ryan. Yeah, it's a good one, Yeah. Anyway, about 25 minutes in, he laughs out loud, and he takes his earphones out, and I said, what are you laughing at? And he goes, oh, you said to Ryan, are you more conservative? And Ryan went, for God's sakes, I sleep with men, And so he was repeating that back. So the guy in the middle seat goes, oh, is Ryan gay? And then someone else went, I didn't know Ryan was gay. And then someone else went, who cares? And I went, I don't care. But I just kind of loved this random conversation.
Yes. And so, which I guess shows that it is still a thing, that people are still like, oh, is he gay? It's still not completely normalised.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I think we are moving in the right direction. And and that Ryan can talk publicly about it.
Yeah.
Because remember in the past, so particularly with men, with leading men or a leading journalist, they could not admit their sexuality, which is just it's awful, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, he would say that he almost feels privileged, but he shouldn't. that he can
in this time.
in this time, when we look at the past and some of that sort of happened. Okay, so let's talk about not being typecast.
Okay.
Because you've done everything.
Yeah.
Hey, which is so fantastic. And so do you think about that? So this is comedy. This is quite different.
Yes.
Than something that's kind of dramatic and intense like West Side, or it's quite different than almost, your character grew considerably in Outrageous. But it didn't start as you were a main character, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean? You became more prominent.
Yes.
Throughout the seasons, really.
Yeah.
So do you think about that diversification of not typecasting?
Yeah, I do. And I think I have been lucky to avoid it because, particularly with Outrageous Fortune and West Side, that was really against my type. Those two characters are really not really me.
Yeah.
And it's not really how I come across, because often you are typecast by your kind of natural vibe and what you naturally look like, whereas I know that I don't come across like a Westie, that both those characters are quite different from my essence, I suppose. And so I think because those are still the two characters that I'm kind of best known for, I think I haven't been typecast because I'm able to, I guess, show people the breadth of what I can do. And I also personally love the transformational process of playing a character.
Do you?
I love it. Yeah, I find it so... One of my favourite things about acting is figuring out the character. Who is this person? Why do they do what they do? How do they move? How do they talk? And with Rita, for example, she was a real transformation for me. It took me a while to find her, actually, but she really speaks differently to me. She holds her body differently. She moves through the world physically, even quite different to me. But I love that. I love that challenge.
Well, that's acting, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it is. But some people sort of, and I think there's not no one way is right or wrong, but some people kind of stick to their essence and they bring that, and it's beautiful and it's authentic. Like Jack Nicholson is often the guy that people, he's in every movie, he's Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely brilliant. But then there are other...
Hugh Grant.
Yeah. Hugh Grant, exactly. And you would never say that's a negative against them because they're brilliant, but it's just kind of a different way of approaching things. But yeah, I personally love,
Isn't it funny because you're quite, I hadn't thought of it until you were talking just then, but, there are some actors that would, walk into the pub and I would think, there's Rita,
Yes.
But if you walked into the pub, I would think, there's Antonia. I wouldn't think, even though you completely were her, but I don't think you are her. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. Yeah, there's a big difference between me and Rita. Whereas, for example, my character in Double Parked is the most similar to me that I've ever played. And when I've got the audition brief, it literally felt like, I was like, has this been based on me? Down to things like, her dad is a lawyer, my dad's a lawyer, and she's a lawyer, I went to law school. But just everything about her. So I'm playing the closest to me that I ever have. And which is great as well.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, and working with a friend, right?
Oh, yeah. And not only as an actor, but being directed by a friend as well, because Madeline directs the show as well. Yeah, it's a dream, isn't it, to get to a point where you can work with your friends?
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. We've talked about the industry changing, but, you're in your prime. You are.
Thank you.
This is your prime.
Thank
you won Best Actress at the NZTV Awards last year for your role on Double Park. That must have been a buzz for the whole show.
Yeah, it was. It was really special because often with comedies, they don't get recognised for awards so much. It's usually dramas that pick up the gongs, and you can sort of understand why. So I wasn't really expecting it, but it was lovely.
And you talked about auditioning in Australia. Is overseas still an option? LA? Do you feel the pull?
I sort of do a bit more and more as the kids get older. So, Freddie's 5 and Gus is 3, and up until this point in their lives, it's just felt like, oh my gosh, no, that would be a nightmare. Yeah. And there have been a couple of opportunities that have come up overseas, but I've just been like, no, it's too hard, and you've got to weigh up professional development with your family commitments and what will work for all of you as a unit. But as they're getting older and things are a bit easier, I am thinking about that again. And Australia, definitely. Yeah, working in Australia feels a lot easier.
Yeah, you literally pop backwards. And
we know quite a few people there now, so we could sort of fit into that environment quite easily.
Yeah. You can kind of slot in. So you must feel like you're at a great place in your life. Here you are, you're 40, you're married, you've got your children, your career's on a trajectory that's going up, you have got got massive local opportunities, and then you're able to sort of think about that bigger and brighter in the horizon. And so that's a really special place to be. Do you feel that?
Thank you. Oh, that's really lovely of you to say. I think I mainly do. I feel so lucky with my family situation, that I have these 2 wonderful children, and that my husband is someone who I deeply love, and we have a very happy life together. We have a really great relationship, and I love that, and I feel really, really lucky that our domestic life is so wonderful. And professionally, I probably don't feel as like, yes, I'm on this clear upwards trajectory, just because at the moment I don't know what my next job is. Like, maybe this one in Australia will happen, but if not, I don't know what it is. So I'm better at the uncertainty now, because I know that something will happen. But I guess I don't feel like, great, I'm set. I'm just gonna keep riding this wave. I sort of feel like I have to really keep doing my best all the time. Yeah.
Would you hope that your boys go into acting? Would you recommend it to people?
I really would just want them to do what interests them. So a lot of people say, oh God, I'd never recommend them getting into acting, or I'd really kind of discourage them not to. But for me, I would support them in whatever they wanted to do. So if it's acting, wonderful. Yeah. And if it's
But the highs and lows, do you think it's a certain personality that can handle it? Because often our actors are quite dramatic.
Yeah, and it's all sensitive.
Yeah.
I think sensitivity comes with territory.
Yeah, because you kind of have to be good at it.
That's right. Yeah, you have to have a thin skin for your work, but somehow a thick skin
for the rejections.
Yeah, yep, it is really hard. It's something that I've found works as an anchor for me over the years, is not letting it be your identity, like being it, which is tricky, because when you love something so much and you're so passionate about it, it very easily can become your full identity. Who are you? I'm an actress. But I really try to have some separation in that. Like, it's my job and it's my career and it's my calling. I love doing it. But if I'm not doing it, it doesn't mean that I have no value as myself. Yeah. Like, I still exist without it, which is not easy. Yeah. And I think, for younger people starting out, it is not easy. But I think, the people that stick at it, it's meaningful to them. And, in life, we just may as well pursue what is meaningful. Yeah. As far as we know, we only do it once.
and then can you say that the rejection's not you? It's just you weren't quite right for the part, or someone else was? Can you, because I'm quite good at that.
Yeah, right.
You've got a problem. Well, actually, you don't know me. Yeah. You might not like something I've done or said, and you're perfectly entitled to have an opinion on that. Yes. But I'm not going to actually take it personally, because you don't know me as a person.
Wow, that's because I was told I was allowed to ask you a question. It was going to be that, like, how do you manage the feedback that you get about you? Like both the positive and the negative, because I imagine being a former politician, because at least with my work, people are judging my work, but they're judging you and feel they can and feel they got a right to say that. Like, how can I know it's not the end of the podcast. Can I ask it now?
We're doing it now. That's absolutely fine, because it flows nicely in there. And it's, look, you can pretend it never does, and of course that's not true.
Yeah.
Of course that's not true. There are times when, I call it the duvet over the head, a bottle of gin in fetal position, and I'll see you tomorrow, which I haven't done. But you know what I mean? Or I go, it
does hurt.
It does hurt. Yeah. So there's got to be times, and that can be because you're overtired, it's been a bit relentless, it's, like something's kind of taken off, and then it is. But lots of it's ridiculous. Like, it's body shaming, or it's,
God, really? That's still happening?
Yeah, or it's, kids, or
I'm so sorry.
So that stuff, well, I can ignore that, because that's just so ridiculous.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, that's on them.
It's on them. It's an indictment on them, not you.
I can almost feel sorry for them, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Because I just sort of think, wow, what a small seed life.
Yes.
That you feel you need to personally attack, someone.
What I look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am quite good at compartmentalising that.
That's great. Well, did you have to work on that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So was it harder when you first got into politics?
Definitely. And the weight side was really hard. It's just like...
It's such a vulnerable topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, some days you don't feel great about yourself, right? And so
it's
just this...
You're human.
Yeah. It's just like this, this sort of constant. But the other thing I think that you've always got to remember is I would say 99 out of 100 are positive. Let's remember the people that go out of. I say when I lie in bed at night and I've heard from 20 people, I choose whether I listen to the 19 that were positive or the one that was negative. And that took me some time, but I get to choose who's in my head at night.
Great. Yeah. That's really
sometimes I have to mantra that.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah, it's an ongoing practice, right? Because we have a negativity bias.
Yeah.
We take on board
evil man that shouted at me from the car next door, that you don't get to live in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Good advice.
That's
good
my theory on it.
No,
anyway.
that makes a lot of sense.
So what's the best advice you think that you've had?
Yeah, I liked thinking about this question. I feel like I've had so much of it, so it's kind of hard to choose one. But I think ultimately I want to come back to the thing that has sort of been in my head for most of my life, which is treat others how you want to be treated. Because I think almost everything, if not everything in life, comes back to interpersonal relationships and the quality of them and how you feel about them, the richness of them, the depth of them, how you feel about your place within the relationships you have. And the best way to ensure that they are the best they can be is to treat people with kindness and respect and compassion and generosity, all the ways that we hope we would be treated. So yeah, that's an anchor, a really simple anchor that I try to live by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we all did that, wouldn't it just be such a better world?
I know. Yeah, so much better.
Yeah. And even when you're a bit snappy or you're tired and you've done that, and it's just like even explaining that to someone in 3 words, you don't have to go into a lengthy, having a bad day today because the kids wouldn't.
Yeah, that's right. And then apologising, right?
Yeah.
Like if you do behave in a way that you would not like someone to behave towards you, then you can own it and apologise, and that goes a long way as well.
I just sometimes go, oh, sorry, bad day, too much going on in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, great.
Felt like I snapped.
Yes, and then people know that it's not them. It's it's you. It's it's something.
Just having a moment.
Yeah, that's right. And you can repair that relationship, and hopefully it will be okay moving forward. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I've just thoroughly enjoyed chatting to you. It's been amazing, Antonia. Thank you for coming in. For those who want to see more of you, they need to go and see Double Park.
They do. They sure do. It's on now.
Yeah. So if you haven't caught the first season, go and watch that on 3 Now Plus.
Yep.
So go and have a look there. And but we've got season 2 out now, and we're going through that journey of the babies, and gosh, what a juggle that is.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be lots of fun to watch. I'm really looking forward to it. And that's it for another episode of Ask Me Anything. If you've enjoyed this episode, please follow Ask Me Anything on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. While you are there, check out some of the past ones. There's plenty to choose from and some fabulous people. I'll be back next Sunday, but in the meantime, I'm Paula Bennett. Ask Me Anything. Goodbye.